Our broadcast studio is located a few short miles from the Pentagon, just outside Washington. On 9/11, that iconic structure designed to project American military might was struck clear out of the blue, just like the Twin Towers. 184 people died, both in the building and on American Airlines Flight 77, excluding the hijackers. There are many more who escaped, and now we hear from one of them, whose story was brought to us by The War Horse. It's a nonprofit newsroom focused on coverage of veterans and the military. Robert Hogue worked for the Marine Corps, and he made it out after the plane crashed just below his office.
Starts out like any other day. Marine Corps, where I was working, of course, starts very early. I was the deputy counsel for the commandant at that time, a senior executive position, one of the very few civilians working on the senior Marine staff. And it was also my one-year anniversary. So I was happy, kind of goofing around, calling at my boss. You can't fire me now. I've made my probationary period, But when I came into his office, he was talking to another attorney, and they had New York on TV. And so it made things suddenly serious, but also there was a lot of confusion. Nobody really knew what was going on. I was in and out of the office for the next almost hour, it seemed like. And then I happened to be in his office when the second plane flew in, hit the second tower. And then it's just hard to describe, but I would just say that in a moment, you knew that you were a nation at war. And I don't think anybody had any real idea who we were at war with. I had an administrative chief, an admin chief, a young corporal named Tim Garafola. He was a Marine. I asked him to get the security status of the Pentagon, thinking, hey, we're in the flight pattern for National Airport. Seems like a good idea. He called down to the security office, and in the midst of all the running around, comes back into my office and reports the threat condition is normal, threat con normal. And I said, that's obviously a mistake. You need to check, like every 5 minutes, report back to me. And about 9:30, he came into my office, and this is however many times it is. He showed up every 5 minutes, and he says, threat condition's still normal. And I jumped up from my desk. I just started to rant, we're in the flight pattern for National Airport, for Christ's sake, and I left my office. We're in an interior suite. The office runs parallel to the west wall. And I turned to go to my office, my boss's office, Peter Murphy. And right about the time I got to the door, it was just boom. The experience of being blown up is more like a lost time experience. I'm walking and then I'm over there, waking up on the floor kind of thing. I was very fortunate. I had been on the south side of the building and blown to the north side. I start to pick myself up. I recognize I'm looking through my boss's windows from a distance. I can see a tumbling cloud going up the other side of the windows. It's the fireball. I say to Corporal Garafola, get us out of here. When the plane exploded, it pushed the fuel out into every crack it could find, of course. And because it had opened up a very large hole in the bottom of the building, it had plenty of oxygen to fuel a fire. Well, our windows didn't blow out. The Pentagon had just been reconstructed, and it had these blast-proof windows put in. And God bless the guys who put those in. That saved our lives. The plane went into the building right under us. We're on the south side of the building, the side that's collapsing. We have to jump the crack to get to the other side, which we do. And then we gather ourselves there, and as this is happening, the floor continues to pull away. The south side, in which direction is the fourth quarter, which is the closest way out, but in order to get there, you have to run down this crumbling hallway. It looked a bit like a shooting gallery. It was not very inviting. To the north side, which is the only other, in that part of the Pentagon, you can only go in those two directions, north or south. South is not good. To the north side is the construction entrance. You see these tan pants appear in the construction. Tan Pants appearing in the construction area. And Tan Pants, it's the Navy chief probably, I'm thinking, and he starts to yell. And even I can hear this. He's yelling as loud as he can. If you can hear my voice, you know, come this way, there's a way out. So now we know we can escape. And it occurred to me at that moment that we can't just run, even though I desperately want to run. But I said, no, we're going to search these offices. And I sent Corporal Garafola into the first office. Well, as soon as he left, you know, it's like a piece of me got carved out. I just felt like that was just a terrible mistake. But he went in, and I counted to 10, and at 10, I started in and practically ran into him coming out, and he had found someone under a desk. So that is Tim Garafola saving a life. I had a pretty significant brain injury, and I was starting to struggle from the pressure inside my head and all the things that a massive concussion does to you. It starts to crowd out your thinking. And anyway, we finally get ourselves out of the building, long story short, and Joe Baker had his phone with him, and he was trying to call his wife and he couldn't get her. And so I said, let me try, I'll call Cheryl. I called and she picked up. And I said, we made it out, we're in the parking lot, we're safe, we're gonna come home. We were called in the next day, and planning for the war started really the next day in a conference room at the Navy Annex. And I took a call from a guy named Robert Barrow, who was a former Marine, as he told it. And he was volunteering. He was a very old man. And he was volunteering to carry a rifle. And I thought, wow, you know, where do you get these guys? As it turns out, Barrow was a former commandant who was very elderly and infirm. And I think very sincerely was offering to do one more thing for his country. Well, I had the privilege of serving alongside Marines for almost 2 decades. And I think what I'd want people to know is it's not what it seems. It's not what it seems like in the press. It's not what it seems like on TV. It's sure as heck not what it seems like in the movies. The Corps, and I think all the services, are trying to prepare themselves to do an awful mission that everybody hopes they never have to do. It's an organization, imperfect, trying to do a very hard thing, and they need help, and they need understanding. They need time and the patience of the public, and I think the gratitude of the public as well.
And Robert Hogue, we're going to let your words speak for themselves. We are so grateful to you and everyone who represented the United States on that terrible, terrible day.